Hi, this is my last Easter crochet video for 2022. A little bit late, I've been running behind a little bit, apologies for that. But if it's a last minute gift, I think it might be quite cute. And to be honest, it could be a spring gift, not necessarily an Easter one. And this is what I'm referring to. There's a lot of these about, I've noticed. They're sort of like little gnomes, but they're little bunnies. I love the colour schemes that are about. I've seen them in fabric and knitting and crochet and pottery. I've seen them in everything you can possibly imagine around in the shops. So I decided I wanted to have a little go at making my own. Let's see if we can move him forward a little bit. I hope you can see him a bit better. Obviously we'll see him better when we go top down and also on the photos. He has a little bunny tail there. And he's got a little flower, and I just think he's adorable. And of course he contains a chocolate orange. So, but you don't have to put a chocolate orange in. Loads of different things you could do. It could be a bath bomb perhaps, it could be a pair of socks. There's so many different things that you could do to make a little gift, because not everybody can eat the chocolate or wants to eat the chocolate even. So we're going to go and do this now top down. I hope you're going to enjoy it. I hope to see some photos on Instagram. If you do enjoy my videos, don't forget to like, subscribe and share as well. And I will see you in a second top down, and let's get on with this little guy here. It's Little Easter Bunny Gnome. Does that make sense? I don't know, but I've seen a lot of these about in various forms, whether it be fabric, whether it be knitting, whether it be crochet, pottery, all sorts, and I think they're absolutely adorable. So I decided I had to make one too. So here he is in some gorgeous pastel colours, with his tail slightly lopsided because I didn't stitch it on centrally. It's quite easy to do. Lots of little parts, that's the other thing, but apart from that, it is quite easy. It is in UK terms. I have my yarns here. I'll show you these first. These are really cute daisies. I got these from the works. Aren't they nice? I'm planning on using them for some doll hats. But when I'd finished this, I thought, no, it needs a flower to finish it off. And I thought it looked really cute. I mean, £2 for all that. And they're a nice cotton as well. So definitely keep an eye out for those. So we'll move them to one side. I don't need them at the moment. I have my pom-pom maker, obviously, for his little bobtail there. So that is up to you, how you make your pom-poms. This is a clover pom-pom maker. I absolutely love them. I have a little gnome stitch marker, which is actually designed by my friend's daughter Adele. I love these. They're so cute. They're actually Christmassy ones, but that doesn't matter. I have my needles on my needle minder as always, and this is the yarns I have used. These are all Stylecraft yarns. They are double knit yarn. And again, watch your tension on your yarns. Every yarn's different. And I'm using a 3.5mm crochet hook. Now, this one, I'm not sure what brand this one is. This is why I've not said this one's Stylecraft. These are definitely Stylecraft, but I'm not sure on this. And this is the last bit I have of this colour. So I'm going to be making a bit of a swap around at one point, which might look a bit funny, but I'll explain what I'm doing as I get to it. So we're going to start with his body first. As I say, it's going to be a longish video, so you can do him in sections. This is probably the last chance to get an Easter gift out, because we are on countdown now. Apologies for being late, but I mentioned in my last video, well, you probably can hear it, I'm getting over a cold, so you know, I've not really been up to doing too much. So we are on countdown. It's Sunday here, and we have 6 days, not including today, and it's Easter Sunday, so we need to get our gift on here. So I'm going to start with this one for the main part of his body. Now, if you've just been watching the crown one that I did, this is almost identical. It is identical, apart from, I think it's one round, but we're going to be doing the same system. They are in half trebles. Now, I mentioned actually when I did the crown something about the length, always make it a little bit longer. Can you see really he's a little bit short there? The reason being is when I sewed his head on, I pulled it up a little bit. So I like to show you the mistakes I make so you won't make them. So when you're sewing these extra parts on, be careful that you're not sort of scrunching it up. I don't think it matters at all, because like with most yarn, you can give it a good stretch and you're fine. But it is something to watch out for. I don't want you to make it and then suddenly go, oh, it's too short. Again, though, you could actually quite easily add a round on if that happens as well. So let's get going with his body. So we start with our chain, and we need 2 of them, and into our first chain, our 6 double crochets, because we're working in an amigurumi style. So that is 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. Just pull that up. We're now moving straight into our half trebles, and we're going to be doing 2 half trebles into each of those 6 double crochets. So count back if you're not sure. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Hang on, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. This is my number 6. So yarn round for a half treble. In we go. Pull it through. We have 3 on the hook. Pull it through all 3. Yarn round into the same stitch. Pull it through and all 3. So that is our first increase. Again, don't forget these are UK terms. If you do need to grab a conversion chart off Google, or if you've got a book or something like that, have a little look. So that was our first one. We've got 5 more of those to do. 2 half trebles into each of those last 5. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. Remember I did that first one, that's why I've counted 5 there. So again, tighten that up. We now have 12 stitches. I'm going to continue in a spiral format, so I'm not going to be stopping and starting, slip stitch joining, all that sort of thing. So we do need to sort of keep an eye on where we are. If you want to pop a stitch marker in now, you can do. I'm not going to worry too much just yet because there's only 12 stitches there at the moment. So we're going to be doing 2 half trebles again into each of those 12 to give us 24 stitches. So yarn around the hook, into the stitch, pull it through, and another one into the same stitch. So that's our 1. So I'm going to count just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, but there's 2 in each one, okay? So this is 2. This is 3, 4, 5, 6. That means we're halfway. 7, 8, 9, 10. The yarn's getting stuck on his ear. 11. And our 12. Now I am going to pop my stitch marker in now. I have 24 stitches, okay? So I'm going to pop the stitch marker in. Maybe a little bit big, this one, but I just thought it was cute because it was a little gnome itself. That will do me. So we now need a round of just 1 half treble into each one. I'm going to have to move him to the other side, I think. We'll pop him over there because the yarn keeps catching on him. So 1 half treble into each of these stitches, each of these 24 stitches. So it's not hard, it's just that there's a few components to it, so it might be a little time consuming. You could still comfortably use sort of an hour and a half sewing up, etc. If you want to take your time, 2 hours. It's not bad for a gift, really, is it? Not a gift that'll make somebody smile. So this is just 1 half treble into each of those 24 stitches. I was hoping to get the film in before the sun comes out too much. Not that it's warm. I say the sun comes out, it makes it think it's warm. It's not warm at all. But the light comes through so strongly through this window that it sometimes actually makes it worse, not better. So that is 1 half treble around. We're going to have 1 more increase, and that is going to be 2 stitches in the first one, and then 1, 1 and 1. Yeah, and you're going to do that 6 times. It'll give us 30 stitches. So yarn round into the first one with 2. So that was an increase of 2 stitches in 1 space. We're now going to do 3 individual ones. 1, 2 and 3. That was our first set. We have that 6 times. This is our second set we're doing now. So 2 into this first one, and then we're going to have 1, 1 and 1. So that was set number 2. Set number 3, 2 in the first one, and 3 individuals. 1, 1 and 1. Number 4 time. So set 4, 2 in the first one, and then 1 in each of the next 3. 1, 1 and 1. Number 5. So 2 in the first one, and then we have our 1, 1 and 1, and our last set, 2 in the first one and 1 in each of the next 3. 1, 2 and 3. So we are round, so just push it back into place. I'm going to move my stitch marker now. It's amazing how fast it changes position. And now we've got the number of stitches we require. Now I mentioned this earlier, so it's some on the last one, so I've just took that off. Keep checking on this orange, okay? Make sure it is the size. Watch your tension. So we'll leave the orange like that. See how he stands quite nicely, doesn't he? So you don't need an orange in him. He just makes a nice little sort of Easter ornament. I know I've got him on my shelf for the Easter products, so he does look quite cute up there. So now we're going to be doing just half treble rounds, and we're going to be doing 8. I did 7 on my crown, but I want to do 8 on this one because of that head, so in case it pulls it up a little bit. So I have my pen and paper ready, and let's just get going. We just work stitch marker to stitch marker. Make sure we move it up every maybe 2, maximum 3 rounds. It depends on sort of how happy you are doing amigurumi. Sometimes you can get away with just ignoring it completely and just doing it to the length of whatever is required. But obviously with this being a pattern that's going to be written up, I need an exact number. So the stitch marker is quite important. If you've got a nice quiet time, you can sit and count. We have 30 stitches, so you'd just be counting your 30 stitches 8 times round, that's all. It's a lot of stitches when you think of it like that. The stitch marker might be a bit too big because it's going to hit the table. If it does that, I might have to change it for a smaller one. As much as this one's really cute. I only buy stitch markers because they're cute. I don't even use them half the time. I usually end up using a bit of wool because I can't find my stitch marker. So this is round 1 and we're almost there already. Ta-da! Round 1. I had to rewind this ball up, and it's going to drive me mad because it's like part wound up. You get past a certain point and it's just going to fall apart. I know it is. It's the only thing, balls look great when they're all nice and new and pristine, and as soon as you start using them, after a while, they're just Tangle City. Right, we're on our second round now, so off we go. Obviously, if you wish to pause me and carry on with your 8 rounds and then come back to me, that's probably quite a good idea. It depends on sort of whether you want to watch what I'm doing or not. If you're a beginner, sometimes watch first, then pause, and then do your rounds and then come back to it. There's so many different things you can do on YouTube nowadays. Well, nowadays, so it makes me sound about 300, that, doesn't it? I'm probably, you know, newer to I was going to say Facebook then. This cold, as I've mentioned before, is definitely addling my brain. I think I will shut up and just carry on crocheting. No, it is getting better, but it is, yes, I've had quite a headache with it, but that bit's eased off now, thankfully. Just my brain doesn't seem to be functioning. I'm a little bit tired, I'm afraid. Right, almost round for our second one. And then we're going to move our little Numi up as well at the same time. So that's our round 2. And let's get this little chap moved before we end up doing some funny shapes. There we go. He looks like he's got a little parcel. Look, he's got a little Christmas parcel. So round 3, off we go. When we get to about 5, it's a good idea to check it on the orange. Make sure we have got a decent fit there. I'm being nosy out the window now. It looks like a neighbour's getting a food delivery. So off we go for this. I love this purple. I just thought it was nice to sort of do the gnome also in like sort of pastel-y colours. I know there's so many different ones out there, and I've never been a big fan of the whole gnome thing. You know, I'm not bothered about having a gnome in the garden or anything like that. But there's some real cuties about at the moment. Especially where they sort of cross over in like this one, because we've got the bunny version. One more stitch. Yep. And we are round for round 3. You see we've got the shape coming nicely. Let's have a quick check now. Yeah. Again, don't worry if it's tight. It's best it's a little bit tight at this point because the yarn will stretch. So you do need to be aware of that when you're doing it. I realised I've done the same as I did on my last tutorial because these are back to back. My stuffing, I can see it. I'm sat looking at it, but it's the other side of the room. So I can't get away with it with this one. With the crown, I used a bit of yarn as stuffing. But for this one, he needs some stuffing in the head and the nose. I could probably get away with yarn for the nose. So I can't remember actually whether I put any in his hat. No, I didn't. I've squashed him now. Bless him. I'll sort him out in a minute. But yes, I do need stuffing for the head. Otherwise, he's going to look a little bit weird. So this is our round 4. So we're actually halfway now on the body. Let me mark that one down. So that's 4. So you can see how we're going. I'm just wondering whether to move it up. I'm not going to move it up just yet. I'll move it up after this round. So this is round 5. It's weird. I think when you get like past 5, it seems to go faster. It's just that first few rounds that sort of feel like they're taking forever. Got to start thinking about some Christmas things soon. Isn't that terrible, thinking about Christmas? No, I'm not going to do Christmas yet, I promise. I am going to start thinking about it in about July though, because especially if you're a gift maker, you do need that time, or especially if you're doing it for like a charity or something like, or a school, you need a lot more time to actually sit and make them, because you could be making 50 or 60 of them. So you need to start now, otherwise I think it would drive you mad. I know me and my daughter were discussing, you know, what things we need to make and when we would start our Christmas items, and I think we had decided that July we'll do I think it's QVC, some and sort of shopping channels like that do Christmas in July. In fact, I think Aldi did it last year. Because I know we were laughing at it, you could buy Christmas things. Some things that's okay with food, but some things it's not. You know, you can only freeze so many mince pies, for example. Right, so that is our 5. I did say we'd double check at 5, didn't I, to make sure. Right, so can you see? That seems about right. So if I do another 3, I'm about at the bottom, but you'll need to keep checking perhaps just to make sure your tension's okay. So... oh, ball keeps running around. We're on round 6. And I said I was going to move a stitch marker as well, didn't I? I don't know. There we go. So round 6. I also might have a break after we've done this. You won't see the break. I'll just be having a break. Because I said I was going to have a drink after I'd done the crown. And I didn't. I just jumped. Because I had my items here, I just jumped straight into it. So I need to get myself a drink. And also at the same time, I can get the stuffing. Yes, it's going to be annoyingly clicking on the floor, that, not on the table. Round 6 almost complete. Right, that's round 6, so I can mark that one off. Pen and paper is always a great idea. It does make a difference because I do forget what I'm doing because I'm talking, or if there's distractions and things like that. So I've always got a little notebook and pen wherever I'm crocheting. So we have round 7, and next to last round for the body. The only thing is when you're doing something like this, because as I said, because I'm a little bit tired, my balls aren't falling. It's fallen on the floor now, never mind. It's a little bit hypnotic as well, so that's the other reason I've gone have a little break, because my eyes are thinking they might go to sleep. So halfway around for our round 7, and then we've only got one more to go, and I'm going to have a cup of tea. In some respects, the body is the largest area to make, but the hat is probably going to take about the same sort of time because the hat is done in double crochets. So obviously it's a little bit smaller, and you start tiny, but then obviously it extends as well. The first bit's quick, but then obviously you've got more stitches. Right, let's have another little look, see where it's sitting before I decide to finish. Yep, so I have one more round to do. I think that will fit okay for me. Just be careful when I sew my head on so I don't pull it up too far. Otherwise I'll be having to add an extra round on. So this is the last bit. That's halfway for our final one. And we're nearly back to our little gnome marker. And one more stitch I would say, and I'm there, and I'm just going to do a slip stitch to finish. Right, we don't need a terribly long piece of yarn for this because we're not sewing it onto anything, it's just going to be sewing in, so we can keep that relatively short there. I'm going to take my stitch marker out. For you, I recommend you sew your ends in now, get it out of the way, because there's nothing worse than having loads of ends at the end to sew in, and also they can get in the way when you're doing everything else. And there we go, we have our body for our little gnome. We're going to start on the hat next. You won't really see a pause, but I'm going to have a quick pause. I'm going to get myself that cup of tea, and I'll see you back in a second. I am back. Is it playing? Are you behaving, camera? I think it is. I got myself a drink of water instead. I decided not to make a drink, but I have got my stuffing. Now, the stuffing I use is a toy grade stuffing. I do think that is important. And I did say I was going to start with the hat, and I'm not. I'm going to start with the head, because obviously we need the head on so we can fix the hat. It does help, doesn't it? Now, I mentioned earlier about this colour. I haven't got much of this left, so I'm actually going to do the head in the cream, because you can't see it because the hat's going to cover it. Obviously, we're looking at skin tones here, so you can do any skin tone you wish. Same with the colours of it, though. You could do any combination of colours. I think it would look great to see a load of them all in different sort of pastels and things. I think that would look really, really cute. So we're going to do the head, and I'm going to do it in this cream instead, just because I haven't got enough of the other yarn. So it's something we can get away with it. Look at that. It's falling out of the middle. Hate it when it does that. This is going to get very tangled, isn't it? I'm going to get cross with it, I can see. Go over there, yarn. We'll see what happens, shall we? We'll just see what happens. So the head is going to be like the body, similar, but we are going to be working in double crochets, not half trebles. We're going to be starting with our 2 chain. We have our amigurumi time, and we have our 6 double crochets. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. And of course, you know what's coming. We're going to do 2 double crochets into each of those 6 to give us 12. So here we go. We have 1, we have 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. Just tighten that middle bit up there. So I now have 12 stitches there, but that's still not enough, is it? I need to increase again. So I'm going to do it again, 2 in each, and we're going to be getting our 24. So 2 in each of the 12. We'll just count for this one. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, nearly there, 10, 11, and one more makes our 12. So we've increased 12 times to give us our 24 stitches. There is going to be one more tiny increase, but it's only going to be an increase by 4 stitches. So you're going to do 2 double crochets in the first one, and then 1 in the next 5. 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. And you're going to do that 4 times. So this is what it looks like. So we have 2 in this first one, and then we have 5 individual ones. 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. That's our first set. We're going to have 2 in the next one. See all this wool coming out like this now, and 1 in each of the next 5. So we're 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. That was our second set. Our third set, 2 in this next one. Then 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5, and our last increase, 2 in this one. It's like it's creeping up on me, isn't it? So sort of look, there's this little tiny piece of yarn creeping that's in a nice little tangle. Hopefully it will be okay for a little bit. Right, did I do the 2 there? I got distracted, didn't I? Yes, I did a 2, so I need 5 now. 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. I now should have 28 stitches, and I'm going to find a smaller stitch marker. I've just had a really cute one when I was using it for my oh, it's there, it's there. Nice little sparkly gem one. I thought this was really cute. This is the one of the ones I got in my Attic Spin Die sort of surprise Christmassy box thing that I did the video on, and I'm only just using them. I just like stitch markers. I don't really use them, as I mentioned before. They just look pretty sometimes, and that's really pretty, that one. So we are now going to be doing just double crochet rounds, and we have, let me count, 1 2 3 4 and 5. We have 5 rounds, and that is it. We have 28 stitches and we have 5 rounds, so let's get going. I've just got my pen and paper to mark down my rounds, and then his head will be done. So some parts are really easy. The beard, I found a different way of doing a beard, which I thought was quite cute. I quite like the way I've done this one, and that was super easy. So that's just a different sort of version for a little gnome beard. And the ears are nice and quick. And the nose, of course, is quick because it's tiny. So as soon as we've done the head, the biggest part is the hat. And then it's easy enough to pop together from there. So that lump of yarn still creeping up on me, isn't it? It's going to get me at some point. I'm going to have to sort of deal with its knot at some point. I'm just watching it. I can just see it there. See it there. I can see it creeping along because I'm looking down at the camera, so I just keep seeing this yarn creeping in, like a little monster creeping in at me. Right, where's my pen? There we are. So that's 1 of 5. It might not, it might be all right. Here we go then, round 2 of 5. If at any point I am going too fast, as I say, just pause it, you do your rounds and come back to me. If you're a beginner, as I've mentioned before, you can either slow me down in the settings or just watch, get your pen and paper ready, and then pause me while you do your 5 rounds. There's always a method round it. I'm just hoping you're not just watching this yarn creeping up like I'm doing, rather than the actual crochet. We're almost around for number 2. That went nice and quickly. And that was number 2. Just going to grab a drink. I've got this funny little Easter chick cup. I don't know whether I've shown some of you. I'm careful not to tip it up. I just thought it was really funny from the pound shop, so I will have a quick drink. And now I've dropped the other part of the yarn on the floor. Never mind, the floor's clean at the moment, so there's not too many bits everywhere. There's always bits in this craft room on the floor, so you have to be really careful sometimes. It's usually beads, like because I've been doing the crown, there's been beads everywhere scattering about. So this is round 3. You know, I'm sure the camera is closer than it should be at the moment. I've not altered it from when I did the crown, but I just feel like everything's closer that I'm working on. I don't know why. Hopefully we should be okay though. Oh dear, I've got to brush my hair yet so I can do the intro. Because no, I haven't done the intro first, which I would normally do. I just thought because I was making the crown, I would just do the videos back to back. And at the minute, my hair's just pulled up into some strange top knot on top of my head. So I need to tidy myself up a little bit first. Oh, we're round again. And that is number 3. You can see it's curling round. We need it to go that way. Behave. Might be worth moving the stitch marker. 2 more rounds to go. So 28 stitches isn't as bad as one. I'll say there's only 2 stitches less, isn't it, than the body? But because they're double crochets, it's smaller. This cream is the one that I've used for the ears and also for the pom-pom. So I need it not to get tangled because I will need it for the other parts. Last round. Now obviously when we come to the end of this, when you do your last slip stitch, make sure you do leave enough yarn because to sew it onto the body. We will sew it onto the body, I think, before we do the hat. Last few stitches, because it does help shape your hat. If the head is already in place, you know, sort of checking with your hat then whether it fits. Right, I'm going to do a slip stitch last and make sure there's enough yarn there. I think that should be enough. And I'm going to just let the yarn drop from there. I'll sort that one out afterwards. Take out my very pretty stitch marker. If it will come off, behave, there you are. And let's get this head looked at. So we need to make sure it is central. You need to try and follow a line round, but remember, because it's spiral, which you can probably see round like that, sometimes that can throw you when you are actually stitching something on, because you think, oh yeah, that's the line, and it'll carry on round spiral, and it doesn't always work. So let's have a look at what we are doing. Let's get my needle threaded up. I think I've probably left too much yarn here, but it's best to have more than not. Now make sure this is in position where you want it as well, because if that is lopsided, when you start to sew your head on, your head is going to also be lopsided. So I'm going to decide approximate that is where it's going to fit. So I'm going to go for that. So that's my center position, and that is where I would like it to be equal all the way around. So when I'm happy with its position, I usually just sort of squash it like that, and that is how I hold it as I'm stitching it, because I usually stitch on the egg. I keep wanting to call it an egg. I think it's because I'm thinking too much of Easter. I want to stitch it on the orange because it will help hold its position. If you stitch it off the orange and then try putting on the orange, there's a good chance it's not going to fit. So I need to go, what, 3/4 of the way around, even though I can pop the stuffing in. That looks like it's just double check it. Yep, I'm okay with that. I don't want it to drop. As I said, the spiral will give you an illusion of the line altering, so you do need to be careful with that. You will have your own way of sewing on. This is just the way I do it. Everybody's different. It's just that I need to sew it on really to show you the next part. We're about halfway. Doesn't take long to sew on, but you do need to make sure, like now, I can't pick up that stitch. There we go, it goes. You do need to make sure you're thorough when you are sewing on, because you don't want your work to fall apart, especially when it's a gift. Especially if you're going to sell it actually, or something like that, or it's a to school fete or something. You do need to make sure your products are nice and safe. I think that's about okay. So let's get some stuffing in there now. Amazing how much stuffing these little things take. So that's about right there. Make sure your stuffing's not in the way when you're stitching, because it will catch, and then you get all these little silly little bits sticking out. So push it out of the way. Don't overstuff, otherwise you will struggle to get it into position as well. A few more stitches and he's got his head in place. Yay! Starting to get a little bit of personality going now. last couple of stitches. In fact, I'd say that's the last stitch. So I'm just going to thread that through, fasten off, make sure it's nice and tight, and then thread it through your work a few times. And usually when you're threading it through the stuffing, it sort of holds it in, helps holding it in place as well. Trim off anything we don't need, and there we have our little gnome with his head. And thankfully this time I've not pulled it up too much when I've been doing it. So the next thing would be the hat. You can see this is the base of lots of different things that you could make. Absolutely love this colour. Right, let's get on with this hat then. As I say, I'd love to see it in lots of different pastels. Imagine a little army of them. I think they would look really cute. So onto the hook, and again the same as always, we're going to do 2 chain, and we're going to do 6 double crochets into that first one. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. But we're not going to increase this next one. We're actually just going to do 1 double crochet into each of the 6 when we're ready. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. Now we are going to increase. We're going to do 2 double crochets in the next one, 1 double crochet in the one after that, and you're going to do that 3 times, and it'll give us 9 stitches. Now it is a bit of a pain because it curls, so if you sort of push it over your finger like that, it helps a little bit. So 2 in the first one, 1 in the second one, 2 in our third one, 1 in the fourth, 2 in the fifth, and 1 in the 6th. Again, push it back over that finger. So we now have 9 stitches, and we're going to have 1 double crochet into each of those 9 because we don't want to increase too fast because we don't want it to spread out. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 and 9. We're going to do a similar increase again, where we're going to do 2 in our first one and then 1 in each of the next 2. So again, it's only 3 increases, which will take us to 12 stitches. So we have 2 in this one, then we have a 1 and a 1. That's set number 1. There's 3 sets here. So 2 in the next one, then we're going to have a 1 and a 1. Last time we have a 2 in this one, then we have a 1 and a 1. That has now given us 12 stitches, so we're going to have a double crochet round of just 12 stitches. Off we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 and 12. So you can see we've got a little tiny weeny gnome hat at the moment, which you could use for other things if you're doing little bits and pieces. We're going to do another increase. We're going to do 2 in the first stitch, 1 in the next 2, which is what we did on the last row. I know that is right, but we're going to do it 4 times this time. So we're going to jump it up to 16 stitches. So you're going to have a 2, a 1 and a 1. That's set 1. You're going to have a 2, you're going to have a 1 and a 1. That's the second set done. A 2, a 1 and a 1. That's set number 3, our last set then. 2, a 1 and a 1. Okay, so we now have 16 stitches. This time we're going to do 2 in the first one and then 1 in the following 3, but again only 4 times, which will take us up to 20 stitches. So we have a 2 and 1 in each of, let me double check how we number there, yeah, 1 in each of the next 3. So I've got 1, 1, 1. That's our first set. 2 in the next one, then a 1, a 1, and a 1. That was our second set. We have a 2, a 1, 1, and 1, and our very last set we have a 2, and we have a 1, a 1, and a 1. So we've really got some nice shaping coming. We have 20 stitches there. Our next round is a 1 double crochet into each stitch, and I'm just going to count them, I think, rather than put the stitch marker in at this point, because 20 is not that bad to count to, is it? So here we go. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 over halfway, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, and 20. And I think we need to pop our stitch marker in wherever it's gone. There it is. It's hiding in that yarn. There we go. Now we still have a bit more increasing, because as you can see, it's not going to fit in very well at the moment. The next one, you're going to have 2 in the first stitch and 1 in the next 4 times 4 to give us 24 stitches. It's getting there, it's getting there. So we have a 2 and then 4 individual ones. 1, 1, 1, and 1. That's set number 1. We have 4 of those. So this is set number 2. 1, 2, 3, 4. Set number 3. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Set number 4. 1, 2, 3, and 4. That's about right. There we go. You can see my stitch markers roughly in line there. We have another one where we're going to increase up to 28 stitches next. So you're going to have 2 in the first one and 1 in the corresponding next 5. And again, that is times 4. So here we go. So we're going to have a 2. And then you're going to have 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's set 1. Set 2. 2 in the first stitch, then 5 individuals. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 2 in the next one. This is our third set, then 5 individuals. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. We need one more set. 2 in the first one and 5 individual. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So that is it for increasing. Again, you think, well, that's not going to fit, but you'd be surprised when we add the plain rounds on how much more it does expand. So we're going to be having, double checking my numbers, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 rounds of just 1 double crochet into each of those 28 stitches. So my stitch marker is in line, and off we go. Pen at the ready for 6 rounds. Now I do like my double crochets. I know they do take a little bit longer, but I do have to watch because I have a tendency to speed up when I'm doing them. So again, if you either want to slow me down, fast forward me, pause me, whatever works, I don't mind. I know myself, I use lots of different methods when I'm watching other people's videos as well. So this is our first round of 28 stitches in a double crochet. Remember, UK double crochet. I do try and put everything on now, going back on some of my old videos and making sure I'm putting UK terms in case I've confused anybody. Right, that's 1 of our 6. Off we go on number 2. you are buying Easter eggs ready for Easter Bunny to deliver, I hope you've got your shopping in early. I've noticed in some places they are running out. Easter Bunny's going to have quite a big job today. Even on next week. We're not on Easter Sunday yet. Easter Sunday is next Sunday. That's how we're counting down. That's why it's probably all these gnome bunnies have appeared. Perhaps they're going to be helping him. That is round 2 done. You can see just by doing double crochet rounds it is expanding nicely. So round 3, and then after that I think our stitch marker needs to be moved up. The beauty of yarn, it does have some stretch as well, so you can sort of pull it about a little bit. I think again that's what gives it a bit more character if you do that. Back to my little sparkle. And that is round 3. Let's have a look how it's going. Can you see it's starting to sort of fit on his head now? So round 4, I said I'd move the stitch marker, didn't I, as well? I tried to do a half treble, then I was about to wrap my yarn. No. If it was done in half trebles, it probably would be a lot faster. But I do think double crochet does look nice if you can persevere with the time scale of it. So we're on round 4, aren't we? So there's only 2 more rounds after this. There is an extra round that I have done, but it's not just one double crochet in each one. That's why I've not mentioned it yet. So we're doing just 6 rounds at the moment. Oh, I'm at it again, trying to wrap. And that is 4. I've done some terrible squiggly lines then. I couldn't even see what my own squiggly lines were. So this is 5, so we're almost there. If you wanted to make the hat longer, you could do, so it sort of bends over at the top. You can sort of mess about with the different styling for that. You can make a shorter one if you wanted to, so it's all like, almost like a little beanie. Little pointy beanie. Back round to little sparkle. And we have our 1 more round to go before I sort of suggest you do something else. So here we go. So you can see how we're coming. The sparkle looks great against this colour, doesn't it? This is round 6. This is our next to last round of completing the hat. I'm just checking something on there to see that that is what I did. I did. So by memory, like I say, if I'll change things and then I don't write it down what I've changed, and I've got to stop doing that. I need to be more organised. Now the last round after this is the 6th that I suggested. So actually I'll not mention it till I get to the 6th, because in case anybody's just paused me or fast forwarded through. So that is round 6 completed. So I've done another round now, but I've done 2 double crochets into each one. The reason being is I want it to sort of like, you know, sort of just like lift left, as if it sort of turns up a little bit. So it gives it a little bit of a flare to the hat. So next round is 2 double crochets in each stitch. So here we go. Just back round to sparkle. It just gives it a little tiny weeny bit more shaping, not a lot, it just lifts it up a bit. I mean, if you wanted to sort of make it perhaps towards a bigger brim, after this round you could add another round, and it sort of gives it like a little tiny brim. Can you see how it sort of just lifts it? So it sort of shapes it. So we're going to do that all the way around, and then your hat is ready to sew on to the head. You might want to do the nose first, it's up to you. I mean, to be honest, I think apart from sewing the head on at this point, I would make all the bits, then sew them on. Make sure everything's in position, even if you sort of, did I do one there or two? I think I did one. Even if you're wanting to sort of pin them into position to check where you want them and things like that. And back round we are. I think it's a couple more, isn't it? You can tell where you started, where you put 2 in each, so you know really where to start. And I'm just going to do a slip stitch join. Again, enough yarn here to sew the hat onto the head. There's nothing worse than running out of yarn and you've got to mess about attaching another piece. So that is our hat done. We'll get rid of a little stitch marker there. So if I grab him now, I can sort of see. I always give the work a stretch as well afterwards, because it can get a little bit tight. So just give it a little stretch all the way over, and then it sort of gives it a bit more character again. So you can see we have our little hat, which I think does look really cute just as a little hat like that. So I think we need to get that nose done, because I need to explain how the beard works. Now the nose I am doing in this colour, again, totally optional, whatever colour you go for. It is just a simple little ball. There's nothing to it at all. So we do our 2 chain, we do our 6 double crochets into that first chain. 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, nearly 4, 5, and 6, and tighten up. You're going to do 2 in the first stitch, 1 in the next stitch. So we're only going to increase 9, you know, like similar like we did at the top of the hat here, because I don't want it to be a massive nose. You could make it bigger, it doesn't have to be this size. So we have 1, 2 in the first one, 1 in the second one, 1, 2 in number 3, 1 in number 4. We have 1, 2 in number 5, 1 in number 6, and now you have 9 stitches there. So we're now going to do a double crochet in each of those 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. It's turning over, it's very annoying when it does that. And 9. Push it over your finger to get your shaping back. Tighten everything up. And that is about it for the nose. Can you see? Because we don't have to join it up, because we're going to stitch it on the face like that. So I'll do a slip stitch to finish, just because I think it needs it. And again, enough yarn left on so as we can sew it onto the face. You can use this little bit of extra here as well to stuff in, to sort of give it a little bit more positioning. Now, I know this is going to look a little bit grim. I'm going to actually just pin it onto his face for now. There we go. Looks like he's had a strange piercing. So we'll put that over like that just for now, so it's in position. Now the last one, now this is where my yarn's gone all tangly, wasn't it, is the ears and the beard. So I think I'm going to go for the beard first because it's a little bit different, so I can move that yarn out of the way. I've got a very messy table today. Right, so we need that slip knot onto the hook, and I'm also going to change my paper over because I wrote it on a separate piece of paper. I've got bits of paper everywhere. The patterns will be written up nice and neat this afternoon, promise, and then you can print off the pattern if you want to purchase it from the site. So here we go. We're going to make 8 chain. 1, 2, put that paper out of the way, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 and 8. So we've got 8 chain there. We're going to do an extra one for the turn. Now we're going to be doing 2 double crochets into each of those 8. So that's 1, that's 2, three, 4, 5, 6, just 2 more, 7, and our last one, 8. So that was 2 double crochets into each of those 8. So that gives us 16 stitches. And can you see what's happened? It's just sort of like curled around like that, which is good. That's what we want. We're going to do a chain and we're going to turn, and you're going to just do 1 double crochet into each of those stitches. So off we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We should have 16, shouldn't we? 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, we're getting there, 11, 12, 13, 14. I think there is 16, but 16 is always that one that goes around the corner. 16. Right, so that was 1 double crochet in each double crochet. We're going to do that again. So we're going to do a chain, and then we're going to turn our work, and this is the last row of 1 double crochet into each, and then you've got your beard. It's only a short beard, this one. I know a lot of gnomes have massive beards. I know the one, the Christmassy one I did, he got a great big fluffy yarn one, which has got lots of yarn strands, which does take quite some time. That's why I thought this time let's have something a little bit different. You know, it's the spring. Perhaps he's had a bit of a shave. He's tidied himself up a little bit. He's going for some sort of designer beard now. Oh, keep dropping these stitches. Last couple of stitches. We have 1 more to go. In we go. And that's it. Again, leave enough yarn for us to sew onto the face. And we have done. If you flatten it out, you can see how it's going to work. It basically goes around the nose. Yep. So I would stitch both the nose and the beard on before the hat, because then you can just slightly pull the hat down over where the beard is going to go, so it covers any stitching that you've done. So that is our beard. We now only need the ears. It's amazing. It seems like it takes forever to get to a certain point, and then you go, oh, well, we've actually nearly finished now. So I'm going to do 1 ear for you. Obviously, you're going to need the 2 ears. They can be sticky up ears like this, or you could sort of make them more lop ears. That's entirely up to you how you place them. And I'm going to find my ears first. Would help. Where's my papers? Too many papers everywhere. There we go, I've got it. I'm terrible for making all these marks down on things as well. So we have our 2 chain, and yes, you've guessed it, 6 in 1. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. Tighten it up. We're going to do 2 in each because I do want 12 stitches here. So into our first one with 2 double crochets. Second one, 2 double crochets. Third one, fourth one, fifth one, and our last one, number 6. So we now have 12 stitches there. Okay, we now need to obviously get the length of the ear, and again you may want a longer ear or a shorter ear. That is something you can play about with from there. I've actually done just 5 rounds of the 12 stitches to get the length I've got here. So we'll do that. So here we go for 12 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 and 12. So that's our first round. Looks like a teddy bear ear at the moment, so we need it definitely to be a bit longer. So just push it out, make sure it's pointing in the right direction, and another 12 stitches. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 and 12. So we'll mark that down. I might actually bring the stitch marker in because you don't want to listen to me counting 12 over and over again. You will be falling asleep. Right, pop the stitch marker in, and we're going to work stitch marker to stitch marker for another 3 rounds. Just 3 more rounds, so it's going to be quite quick. If you don't have to count, sometimes it feels like it goes faster. You just rely on our stitch marker. So this is round number 3. There we go. See, that went quite quick that time. So round number 4 started now. I'm saying I did 5. This looks very short, actually. I will check when we get to the end. So that's 4, 4, 4, 4, round 4. Oh, missing it. Right, that's 4. Oh, I'm determined to drop these stitches, aren't I, today? 4. And round 5, and then we're going to look at the size of this ear, and we can decide from there. It might be actually all right. I think sometimes you can't see it until you've finished it. So that is round 5. I'm not going to take the stitch marker out a second. Yeah, it's 5. I'm happy with 5. So I'm just going to cut my yarn so I've got enough again to sew onto the head. I'm going to do my slip stitch to finish because I didn't do one, did I? Let's take the stitch marker out. Give it a little stretch. We can get rid of that one. Make sure that's not going to come undone though, so I'm not going to cut it off fully. I'm just going to push it inside. Now for the ear, I recently did this with a doll ear one. I did show people, so I thought I'll show you again. I've folded it so the end is up the side. I'm going to pop it on my needle and show you why I've done that. Because I want to fold it, and I want to stitch across that front piece to give you your little fold in your ear. And then obviously we have our little ear stitched on to our head where we want it in position. So I'm not going to sew any of this on for you. I did mention this though. Let's just cut one of these off. I think this is really cute. And they're so cute. They are like little proper cotton ones as well, not sort of like a horrible synthetic-y fabric. They are really nice. So what I would recommend next is we sew our nose on into place. Make sure you're happy with it. Then we can position our beard. And with the beard, I actually only stitched across the top parts. You can stitch further round if you want, but I think it was nicer to have it sort of a little bit looser. So when it goes over the orange, for example, I'll pop this one back on the orange. It sort of sits over it. You can make it stick out a little bit, things like that. So I've only stitched it at the top. The hat would then go on next because you want it to sort of go over the nose area. So I've only stitched from sort of there to there, and I've not stitched on the edge. What I did, in fact, I will just show you that. I'm all over the place, aren't I, today? I'm not going to stitch it on, I just want to show you where I stitched it. Right, so for example, let me just, instead of stitching here and here, which would hold it down flat, I've actually just done a running stitch along this part, which still allows that to stick out. So that's just a case of negotiating where your stitches are going to go. And then obviously the detailing of little bunny ears and our little flower to finish. So there's just a few stitches there. You can see where I've popped the ears on. And then I used a sewing cotton. You can just glue this on if you wished, but I did use a white sewing cotton just to hold that into place. And the final bit, which is optional again, was the little bunny tail, which I just made with my pom-pom maker. It isn't central though. I did that, and for some reason I thought, oh, it's central. And then I went sort of sitting down, and I'm like, no, it's not central. It should be sort of over here a bit. He's got slightly lopsided, I can't even speak, lopsided bobtail there. But I do think he looks cute, and I'm really pleased with him. I wasn't quite sure how it was going to work out. I've got this idea in my head. And as I said, because of the cold, having the cold, my brain wasn't quite functioning as it should when I was doing it. But I'm really pleased with the results. I hope you like him. I hope I'm going to make some for some Easter gifts. If you do enjoy my videos, please like, subscribe and share, of course. It means a world to us. I will put a link on regarding getting hold of a pattern, and I've still got to do my intro for this, so I'm going to go and brush my hair now and make myself look a little bit more tidy before I do the intro for the video, which you will have already seen, so this doesn't make much sense. Anyway, thanks again for watching. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope you get some bunnies made, and I will see you all very soon. Bye bye for now.